something you've seen before, but probably not how you'd expect it.
YugiBOOM!
Alright, y'all, Cyber Dragons have been making a resurgence. I mean, they've always kind of been there. Cyber Dragons always have like built-in outs and a lot of things. If you've kept up with the channel from the beginning in our very rogue-like days, sometimes we do take like the meta decks and keep them a little bit more rogue or simple. I've always liked the more pure variant of Cyber Dragon, so you won't see nothing too crazy in this build or nothing you haven't really seen before, but I did switch up some of my ratios from some of the older videos I did with Cyber Dragons, and it's one deck out of a lot of my decks that I do kind of make as aggressive as possible. Mine is definitely a going second deck. You can, sometimes against the right deck still sit on like an Infinity and something first turn if you're forced to go first and leave yourself protected. But without further ado, let's get right into it. So, basics, of course, we're still going to have 3 Cyber Dragon. I mean, he's still that inherent summon from the hand. I mean, he's still a good monster. Most of the things in here are named Cyber Dragon. He's gonna be a staple for as long as it lasts. Next is your main searcher, and probably, like a lot of people say, is the best guy in the deck. I mean, hers and the other guy give you a little bit of competition now, Mr. Core, but Cyber Dragon Core is going to be the one, probably only card you're really going to be normal summoning if ever, and plus on top of that, in the graveyard, he allows you to banish himself to summon another Cyber Dragon monster from the deck, and it's just a nice card. He's going to get you any of your spells, and your spells are what kind of make this deck go. To complement, we're going with 3 Hers, because Hers is really nice, especially to pitch him for a Galaxy Serpent, because if he's sent to the graveyard, then you can search for a Cyber Dragon. I don't find myself ever really using his other effect, which is to make him level 5. Sometimes it could be helpful, but it's not really usually needed. If you didn't really need to search that much, or you opened with a bunch of spells, then you can use his level 5 effect. And then, of course, 3 Nashter. I don't know if I say that correctly, but Nashter's going to be the guy who you can pitch to special summon him and then summon a monster with 2100 attack in the grave, machine monster specifically. Obviously, it's usually going to be your Cyber Dragon, but sometimes you can get your Cyber Dragon Nova and then stack an Infinity on it pretty easy. And then I believe Seeger qualifies for that as well if he's in the graveyard. And then last, this is a personal choice of mine. I used to run Electromagnetic Turtle, but now that I decided to just make this a more going second deck, it didn't, as good of a card as it is, I didn't really want to just have it as a fail safe in case I was forced to go first, So I'm running 1 Cyber Dragon Veer just because he could be that extra monster that I send away to help make a link before I go into like an Infinity or something else. And he just really helps out with everything I'm going for in this deck. And that's going to be it for your Cyber Dragon monsters. Lastly, of course, another card I feel shouldn't really change in this deck unless you want to go a completely different build is 3 Galaxy Soldier. He's just too good. Pitch any light monster to summon him. He searches himself. Like if you pitch a what's his name, Hers as well, you can get a Galaxy and a Cyber, because he's a when, the other's an if, and it's just nice to have an extra level 5 that happens to be a machine as well, just to help you go into your rank 5 plays. I still like running the 1 Jizukiru because searchable, he's a light machine, you have an outs in your extra deck for giving your opponent to him, and sometimes it's nice to use it with Pallades. It's like a little old school tactic, and on top of that, he's just still a really good monster, so 1 Jizukiru still. And then this is obviously up for personal preference. I mean, you could side these next cards if you want, but because I want to make this deck pretty aggressive, I do run 2 Ghost Ogre and 2 Ash Blossom. I don't really do this with a lot of my decks. A lot of my decks are more rogue, like my Dragoonities and stuff, that really need a lot of their combo pieces, and I can only afford to usually run like 1 set of hand traps or something. But with this deck, I just wanted to put it all. I wanted to make sure it had everything it needed to be to disrupt my opponent while they're going first, so I can just open up, because sometimes you just need a couple Cyber Dragons and a fusion and it's good. So keeping them at that, haven't really felt the need for any other hand traps or switching it up yet. In my limited testing with this deck so far, it's worked out pretty well. And next, we'll go on to the spells, which is the bread and butter. So before I get onto the spells, I will make a note that there is a spell in here that I'm still currently testing in between 2 and 3, and right now I'm currently sitting at 2. Which is Cyber Emergency. I mean, it's just a really good card. I'm probably going to put it back at 3, to be honest. The Veer will probably come out for it. It's just exceptionally well. It is the one of the only expensive Cyber Dragon cards right now. I mean, some other stuff might have gone up, but I know Cyber Emergency is still pretty hard to get. Then I run 2 Cyber Repair Plant because I've learned over time that this card still is really good, and it's just like pretty nice to search any light machine, you know. And then only 1 Cyber Rev System this time around because you got other ways to summon, and it's not that important to get summons from the graveyard, but it is nice to do this sometimes because it happens to make the Cyber Dragon that you summon from your hand or grave can't be destroyed by card effects. Pretty random, but cool, you know. And that's it for your basic cyber spells. Next, for our fusing spells, we're gonna have the 1 Cyberload Fusion, 1 Power Bond, and 1 Overload. Like I said, I still like a lot of the old school plays, and in my testing with my build, you know, sometimes you do get a bunch of monsters, and getting a Power Bond sometimes can just save that. You can dump some Cyber Dragons to the graveyard that potentially can set up other things, and then just get you a free rampage, and you know, you go off, get some powerful attacks. The best spell card in your deck, which is definitely going to be the number 1 thing that's probably going to get ashed unless you're prepared, is going to be Machine Duplication. Literally, like, all of the Cyber Dragons, besides, I think maybe Veer and the regular Cyber Dragon, are targets for this, and they all count as Cyber Dragon, so obviously it gets 2 Cyber Dragons out from your deck, which is an instant rank 5, or you can switch it up and do other things, but Machine Dupe is a must of at 3. You might be able to get some saucy ultis over my supers, but you know, that's up to you. Next, going along with my whole trying to make this deck as aggressive as possible, I run 2 Called by the Grave. If you wanted to really take this to regionals or something and make it a little bit more meta, but still run this more basic version of Cyber Dragons, then you could definitely find room for 3 of this as well. Because I've learned this card is just as good as a trap than just as like hitting, you know, your opponent's hand traps. So especially against like zombies and stuff, it's a really nice card to have in today's meta. But 2 Called by the Grave for now. It's another card I'm swapping around with. And then lastly, we just have a bunch of our 1-of spells. No traps in this deck. I was running the Cyber Dragon trap for a little bit, but then it just became really dead when I kept trying to go second and testing with my friends and stuff. So that's another option that's out there for you, but for now I just round off the deck with a bunch of vinyl spells. Our first off is going to be 1 for 1. 1 for 1 isn't as powerful as Machine Dupe, but sometimes 1 for 1 can get stuff going for you as well, because mainly you're going to get hers out for that, and then you could just send them instantly for a Link Karibo, and then get a Cyber Dragon Core, and then just normal, and then start going off with some random stuff. But like, it could just really save like very awkward hands. 1 Foolish Burial, don't kill me for the common. But Foolish Burial, same way. Like, sometimes in late grind games, you can just Foolish a core and banish and get a Cyber Dragon, contact fuse an annoying Link monster or something that's in the top zone away, and, you know, you can change a whole game. Because it's going second, 1 Raigeki, because, you know, Raigeki. I know Dark Hole's at a bunch, but I don't need that much field wipe. I have a good amount of ways. A lot of my cards in this deck are preference to remove annoying monsters to help the OTK better. So yeah, Raigeki's just nice for a mass wipe. Then 1 Monster Reborn. Honestly, this could be a second Cyber Rev system too, but you do have some monsters that could be important that aren't Cyber Dragons, so I like Monster Reborn just because you could also take your opponent's monster. And in the rare case that they have a level 5 light monster, you know, or a machine, take it. Then 1 Instant Fusion. Only 1 now because I don't run as many targets as before, and our option that I choose to run in this deck, which is a pretty common option, isn't super vital to the deck, so I only run the 1 and 1, you know. But yeah, so 1 Instant Fusion. And then lastly, 1 Liberator Removal. I know this card, I can't remember if it's at 2 or 3 now, but I know it's not at 1 anymore. But in testing, as much as it was nice to have it at like 2, which I think I was running for a second since it came off, it just sometimes kind of sucked, you know. Like, it definitely helps, but I'm really struggling. So in the comment section below, let me know how you guys feel about limiter removal, and if you found a way to work in multiples of this, because I really do miss this card at multiple copies. But for now, I just run the 1 because it can help even just basic situations. If it's not going to game your opponent, it can sometimes get over something that's really strong. Alright, extra deck. So we'll go with the links first. Just 4 links in this deck that I've bounced around a lot of different links. Had the Nightmares in here for a little bit, But I've learned also I just have to keep it really simple. I do the one Link Karibo because of multiple level 1s you have in this deck, and Link Karibo is just a nice card to sit on sometimes. Very obviously your last like try play most of the time, but you know, it's there for other purposes as well. Clifford Genius, because he's just a really good card. He's not affected by Spell or Trap or Link Monster effects. If you can get a machine dupe off, you can get him out first and then machine dupe. You can search for a 5 or higher machine, so it's another way to get your Kaiju or something. Then one Cyber Dragon Seeger. When he first came out, I was way too hyped on him, and I ran multiple copies. And then seeing a lot of builds at like locals or regionals and different things, like I realized not a lot of people ran multiple copies. And then I just learned that, you know, you can recur him, so unless they banish him, then obviously you're screwed. But just the one for now, and then, you know, they reprinted him in secret, and he looks so pretty, so had to do it. But still just one for now, as much as it hurts me, but he's just a really good card. Sitting on with him and a Cyber Dragon Infinity is still really nice to do. And then this is another card that took me a lot of struggle to decide between, but I'm running a Boral Load over Boral Sword. I know that might not make too much sense. This is a more going second, trying to OTK-ish up, you know, your opponent. But I like Boral Load to give me more options against those monsters that can't be destroyed. A lot of my choices in this deck have to do with monsters. Like a lot of the times with this deck, it wouldn't matter if someone got something really annoying that just sat on the field with me. So that's why I choose to run a lot of stuff that has weird monster removals, like Kaijus, to just tributing them or returning to the hand, things like that. And so you could put Boral Sword if you want to make it way more OTK orientated, but like I personally just want to give this deck a little bit more options, you know. So Boral Load is my choice for the Link 4. I used to not have any high links in here, and yeah, I used to run Hippo Shinijin back in the dark days. I used to run some Photon Sanctuaries too, and you know, before I get onto the rest of the extra deck, I don't even know if orientated is the right word, but we'll just, you know, let that slide in the area in the process. But call me out in the comment section below. So moving on, we got your Exceeds. The only generic is going to be your one Pallades. He's just really nice. Once per turn during either player's turn, you detach a material, target one card on the field, and return it to the hand. So obviously this isn't going to work on like Boral Load and stuff, but you'd be surprised how many good monsters this does work on. And like I said, on your turn, if you really just need to get rid of 2 annoying monsters and you know they're exhausted their resources, you can Kaiju something of theirs, bounce it to your hand, and then Kaiju again, you know, and then on your turn get the Kaiju back. Or on their turn, I mean. But like, it's really nice for other reasons too. Goes along with what I said earlier. So Pallades, still a card I like to this day. Then of course 2 Nova and 2 Infinity. That's another thing that's probably going to stay the same. A lot of people forget that Nova has an effect that, you know, you can detach and summon another Cyber Dragon from the grave, so you can go off with more links or just get extra machines on the board for something. And then on top of that, if he's destroyed by your opponent's card, then you can summon a Cyber Dragon Fusion from your extra deck, which I run 1 copy in the rare case where I'm trying to go hard and they Ghost Ogre this or something. And then Infinity, a lot of you know what he does. He steals a monster in attack position and he's a negate once per turn. And now the rest of the extra deck is all just fusions. So with the one instant fusion I was talking about earlier, we got the 1000 Eyes Restrict. 1000 Eyes Restrict is just a really good card. Just like the Pallades and everything else, he takes a monster, you know, he doesn't destroy, he doesn't, it's very unique, and then you can just send him away for a Link Karibo like everybody else does. It's the one meta thing about this deck probably. But yeah, I love him. Got, you know, just original feel with him, and he just helps the deck out. Next are the best cards, arguably, which is, of course, your 2 Mega Fleet Dragons. For those of you who have been living under a rock, Mega Fleet Dragon can contact fuse with a Cyber Dragon monster and a monster in the extra monster zone from anywhere on the field. So if they're sitting on an annoying Avermax or Boral Load or something you can't get rid of, you can just banish a core, get any Cyber Dragon out the deck, and contact fuse them away if they don't have answers. And then, because we main the Kaiju, and just in case for mirror matches or other machines that are annoying out there, I think you know who you are. Chimera Tech Fortress Dragon just takes a Cyber Dragon and machines, and you can use as many as possible. So, you know, big rip to ABCs if they don't have materials to banish your stuff, or if they don't have a hand to banish your stuff. So I still love the Fortress Dragon. Then, of course, the one Rampage Dragon. I mean, with all the ways to fuse in the deck, you would wonder why I don't run more copies, and I'm still probably maybe going to run another copy of him. I really want to fit a second one in. I just don't know what to take out in my extra deck for it. As weird as it might sound to some people, I'm thinking of taking Borreload out for a second one of these just to help with the OTK a lot more. But for now, my last card is a Cyber End Dragon. This is not only because of the fact that if they pop the Nova, I can get him out for free and he's just a 4K beater. It's also because if I can just summon him with one of my fusion cards, he's 4K, and then with Liver Remover, he's 8K. And believe it or not, there is some games where your opponent just has to pass and hope for that you don't OTK him, and if you get that free attack, you can make him pay for it. But that's it for my super simple Cyber Dragons. That kind of flowed really well together. Didn't expect it, but let me know in the comment section below what you guys want to see from YugiBOOM. We're trying to work on more content, stay a little bit more relevant, as well as just keeping up with our little rogue fan base. We love to keep decks different and keep them, budget as best we can. So let us know in the comment section below what your Cyber Dragon build is, what you think's the best thing for Cyber Dragons, and what you guys want to see in the future. Thanks.